What's up, guys and gals? It's your boy Jeff coming to you with another episode of Extreme Nerd Table with Tim and Randall. They're actually here with me, actually early today.
Yay! Yeah, we're doing it early.
Yeah.
Early to bed, early to rise.
Yeah. So, pretty much, we're gonna be talking about some tweets that Donnie sent out that actually kind of pissed off Tim. So what did Donnie send out? I didn't even know he sent out anything. He tweeted out anything.
Oh yeah, he basically commented on all the downvotes that are going on for the new Warriors book that's coming out, and which is like right now at the downvotes are like, I want to say it's 180,000 downvotes or 80,000 downvotes or something like that. Hold on, I can go ahead and take a look. I'm actually little change of pace. This is my room that I like to work in, my bedroom. So you might see comic book boxes behind me. There's stuff that I'm working on at the moment. But yeah, he basically told Marvel customers to go fuck themselves. Excuse my language. And called everybody who downvoted the book a racist. Wasn't cool in my opinion. As a matter of fact, I think I'm probably no longer going to follow Donnie.
Yeah, I'm reading one of his feeds right now. Yeah, because it goes because I don't read, because I don't write the book. I'm not invested in it with ever. And then the person that actually asked him the question is, at Donnie, why can't I find nothing about New Warriors or on your feed?
Oh,
yeah, that's all it says. Yeah. I'm looking right at his feed too. I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah. He calls people hateful bigots.
Yeah, so, I'm looking at his feed. I don't see anything.
Let me get your opinion here, Tim. What about Dan Slott? Because didn't Dan Slott say some stuff too?
Oh God, yes. I stopped following Dan Slott almost a year and a half ago. Dan Slott's a racist pig, in my opinion. Not a big fan of Dan. Plus, he has a low IQ, from what I can tell. Not a fan of Dan at all. And Mark Waid is another one. As much as I used to enjoy his writing years ago, Mark Waid's another one that I just really do not like to support.
Are you the type of person that can separate the person from the art? Like, can you still appreciate reading their book, but not like them as a person?
Absolutely. I try to do that, as a matter of fact. With Mark Waid, his recent run on, what was it, Captain America? I tried to, separate it. Ta-Nehisi Coates. I actually appreciate Ta-Nehisi Coates. I appreciate both his run on Black Panther and on Captain America too. And he is very vocal about how he feels about certain political leanings. And I still support both of those books. Although I think Ta-Nehisi's getting ready to leave. It seems like Black Panther, his run on Black Panther is ending on issue 25. And this current run of Captain America sounds very finite. So it seems like that might end at 25 too, or at least get a new writer on 26. So Ta-Nehisi might be leaving Marvel for a brief period, probably to work on movie scripts or some other project that he's probably going to be focusing on. So it just looks like he's going to be stepping away from those two Marvel books in the near future. Black Panther, positive. It's already been solicited as 25 being the last issue.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. I think I heard about that like at least a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago.
Well, let's bring up Diamond's thing where they're saying they're not gonna deliver any more new books until a later date. What do you guys think? What do you think, Tim? Especially you work at 2 shops.
Well, I can tell you this: our shop has still been busy. We still get a lot of foot traffic. It's starting to slow down a little bit. What's going on in the shops is people are still coming in. They're asking a lot of questions. They're still asking whether or not new comics are going to be on the wall, this coming Wednesday. I have to inform them that it will not be, but that's the reason why we're having sales in both shops. We're both having back issue sales. We're having set sales, trade paperback sales, action figure sales, just to keep people interested in coming to the shop. The big news is
so you guys the shops are still open.
What's that?
The shops are still open then. The shops are still
both
open.
Our shops are still open. Yeah, both our shops are still open. We're not closing down. We both live close enough to the shops that we don't,
Okay.
But yeah, we're planning on still opening. We were open today.
Okay.
I worked today. It was a little slower today, but we just barely made our quota for the day, which isn't bad, seeing how we don't have any money going out on Tuesday. We don't have an order to place. So this is going to the first few weeks, I believe, is going to allow comic shops to catch up those that remain open. Those that are in cities to where we're spread out enough to where we can actually do business as usual for the next maybe 2 weeks. We may be able to get ahead of the game by not having a big diamond bill and yet still have nice sales on our back issues, action figures, and just move some product that's been taking up shelf space in the store, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can come in for some Vampirella books now.
Right. Yeah, come in for. I mean, we're having 75% off back issues. That's extreme. At the other shop, we're having independents 20 for $1 in the dollar bins. So 20 independent titles for $1, because we've got so much back stock in both stores.
Right.
We're talking we've got hundreds of long boxes in the back that need to make it to the front. We just don't have the space for it. So we need to move some product, and we've got a nice chance here to not only move product for ourselves, but to supply product to those who have nothing to do and at a low, reasonable value, so they can save some money.
Right.
Because we know that money's going to be tight.
Yeah, it's gonna be for a lot of people. No, for right now I'm not, but I'm losing some hours too. So
you're losing hours even now that you are in the middle of the testing pandemic.
Yeah, because the testing wise, it's not as many as it normally is, because normally there's a lot more doctors' offices that are open, but now there's less doctors' offices that are open. Like only hospitals are open right now.
Oh, I see.
The smaller practices aren't.
I'm sure a lot of the tests that you guys get too are for drug tests, right?
Drug tests.
Yeah. So if businesses are hiring, there's a hiring freeze.
Yeah.
You got no people applying for jobs and doing drug tests. So work's got to be slowing down on your end. If it slows down, then they're going to cut hours.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
We can actually, because it's lower than holiday time. Holiday time, it's pretty low, and they said it's lower than holiday time. With our work. So so that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
was wondering about the shops. So I was wondering about all the shops and stuff. That's why, about this stay-at-home order. That's why.
Yeah, the stay-at-home order. I don't think there's a curfew, but I do believe that there are certain times that they want you to,
guidelines.
Some guidelines. They're not really strictly enforced, but they would really like you to adhere to them as much as possible to keep the spread. But let's not talk about that. But I will say that I believe that the shops that are closing are probably in such high risk areas that they have no choice but to close down. Right. There's in New York City, the comic shops are on the second floor. You got to go up a narrow stairwell to it's kind of hard to maintain your distance from people when the stairwell that you're walking up is only 6 feet wide, period.
Right.
So it's hard to get to some of those stores. Plus they're in the city. You gotta take the subway, so there's a lot of hurdles that you have to jump in order to get to some of those stores. The ones that are a little bit more out in the suburbs, they have a little bit more flexibility, I believe, that they can maintain a store with a skeleton crew, making sure that they go by the guidelines and keeping maybe 2 to 3 people in the store at a time, maintaining safe distances from everybody, offering them, gloves, hand sanitizer, places to wash their hands, which we're doing. We offer we've been offering, curbside service. People can pay for their books via PayPal, or we can walk out with the Square and they can swipe their card, or they can, like we do at Sonic, they come by and they throw us cash. We run in, we get the change and bring it out. Believe it or not, some of our customers have been very, very gracious to the point that they'll hand me a 20 for a $16 total, and they tell me to keep the change because they believe that me being there to provide them the service might be putting myself in danger. So they're like, keep the change. So, people still want their media. They still want their comics, which is a good sign to show that there are, there's still a healthy market out there for it. It just depends on where we go from here and how we support that market. Is really going to make all the difference in the world. Dark Horse announced that they will not be going digital. Good for Dark Horse. Dark Horse, way to go to step up and lead the pack, because nobody else has announced that yet. Lots of return availability, which is nice. A lot of these companies are offering returns all the way up until June. DC finally commented, but I love DC's comment. They use Penguin Books as a printer for some of their young adult novels, like the one coming out that they've been heavily advertising. What is it? Gotham High. And that one's going. That one's going to be pushed. I believe the street date on that one is the 12th or something like that. But that one actually is going to go to regular bookstores before the comics. But DC's actually saying, in the light of Diamond closing, we may use alternative methods of printing and distributing comics. So this is going to be interesting if DC breaks out of the Diamond way of distributing their comics. This may give them the ability to really grow, in my opinion. Plus, I heard that Penguin may want to buy Diamond, which is weird.
Wow, Penguin might.
That'd be kind of interesting.
I have a feeling if they do, they'll probably do a better job than what Diamond is doing.
I would agree with you there, 100%. Although I got to give Steve Jeppy a little kudos for at least being very vocal this past week. He was quiet at first, but then he finally started making comments. And he's trying to continue business as usual, but he's not really giving us a plan. He's still just kind of saying, hey, guys, be safe. We're going to all do our best. But he's not really giving a plan of attack. He's not letting the retailers know the plan.
I think it's tough for a lot of businesses to give any kind of plan of attack because they're reliant on the information and news and updates as to hey, this is what we're going to do, so now you can do this, or it's surprisingly different in a lot of different states. Like California is a lot more strict than what we are right now. Like every comic book store is forced to shut down in California.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That's why I say I'm going to give a little credit to Steve. I totally agree with you on that his hands are tied and there's only so much that he can say. However, in light of that, imagine if something were to happen, like to say a warehouse fire. Imagine what would happen if, say, something that just affects Diamond as an individual company, where not just a nationwide. It can really change the industry and how we display books. And I think having a secondary company out there that allows you to purchase books from is not only will it make Diamond better because they'll have to step up to the plate and try to do just as good as that other secondary company, I believe that it'll just make things a lot safer for the retailer in general, because it's like any other distributor that once the faucet is turned off, there's no water, down the road. It's turned off. Right. Nothing you can do. You can try to live as long as you possibly can with your water turned off, but it's just hard.
Oh yeah.
But I'm really proud of the comic book community. To be honest, I really feel bad for some of those retail stores who just didn't have a plan or wasn't a little bit ahead of the curve themselves to save, to invest smartly in books that will keep their shop open, even though there's no new product coming in. And I think this will thin the herd a little bit. And sometimes, kind of like the way nature is, sometimes it's necessary. Don't mean to be mean.
Yeah.
But sometimes it really is necessary.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know what? The funny thing about this industry is, anytime somebody goes out of business, there's already somebody that is jumping into the business and starting a store.
Right.
So it's like the classic, one door closes, another one opens up, except it's somebody else that's opening the door, and it's somebody else that's closing the door. But in this case, it's going to be interesting what happens to the industry, especially 1 to 2 months from now, because this could get prolonged. I'm hearing till the end of April.
Well, I don't think it'll ever go away. I think it'll be with us from this day forward. We're just going to find better ways to deal with it, vaccines and the such. But still, that's going to take some time too.
Well, I mean, like, as far as like, for a perfect example, the whole social distancing and everything, the lockdown, supposed, I hear is extended till April 30th. So if Diamond turns around and says, "Hey, you guys aren't going to start getting new comic books until May," imagine a comic book store that is used to having new product every week, and imagine them going 4 or 5 weeks without new product. So I mean, it's
and then one day in May, all that product's gonna drop in May. I hope they don't send it all in one shot.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
They better not.
No one Diamond. They might send it all in one shot. That's what I'm worried about for you guys. Is
they
could be dicks and go,
I mean, and send it all. I think that's why they paused the distribution. They paused the printers. They've paused I mean, you've heard of the Pencils Down initiative, where people are actually no longer drawing their projects. G. Willow Wilson has been ordered. He posted and said that she is told to, halt all of her production at this point in time. And I believe she's employed with DC.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. There's going to be like another Diamond order, because I just did a Diamond order. And so, like, if this gets prolonged, at the end of April, is, Diamond going to shoot out like, "Hey, by the way, guys, Diamond orders are due," and it's like, what do you mean they're due? Like, we got nothing this month. Everything got pushed back a month, so it's like, how do we have, Diamond orders? So yeah, it's an interesting setback.
I think what we should do is just go on a complete freeze. Just freeze time right where we're at, just freeze time to a point to where we don't have to worry about bills. We don't have to worry about orders. We don't have to worry about, incoming or outgoing product. We just freeze time, sustain the body. And by sustain the body is, feed it regularly, and give it some exercise. In other words, open the doors, let people in, and let them take a little here and there, because there's back issues. We have a huge back issue selection for you to get involved in. We've got sets out of our butts that you guys can purchase, at super discounts.
Yeah.
To get something interesting new.
The other thing I realized too about this, and now that it crosses my mind, you have people who they're creatures of habit, and this is breaking their habit. So it makes me wonder how many people are going to end up quitting comics because of this whole situation. They might say, "You know what? I haven't bought new comics in a month. There's been no new comics. I started playing video games, or I started doing this, and started doing that, you know. But then there's also, you know, people who are like falling on hard times, you know, like this whole setback means that they're getting less hours, they're making less money. Some of them lost their jobs, they don't have the money, so now they don't have the money for the hobby. So it's like, yeah, you know, it's a lot of stores are going to be hit hard by this. Maybe not instantly, you know. This could be something that takes place in a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, you know. But yeah, I mean, like, I've seen people that are like, you know, oh, can you donate this? Can you do this? Can you offer this? Can you buy this? Can you buy that? And it's like, as much as I want to support and help, I have to hold on to that money for myself as well too, because I need to be able to survive and pay bills and continue with my life as well.
That's why we're just trying to keep the sale really deep. Not because we need the money, because, to be honest with you, we're comfortable right now. We are sustainable for at least 2 months. I kid you not. As an employee that works in 2 different shops, I don't rely on any of their income. Believe it or not, I have that luxury. So I'm not the norm. I'm not the regular case. There are a lot of employees that work at comic book stores who need that weekly income. I totally get it. But the situation that I'm involved in, I'm very fortunate, very lucky that I'm involved with 2 different comic book stores that has a different type of support structure that allows us to stay in business and keep our doors open.
I think the only thing that it really affects you, Tim, is because you're used to getting a big stack of books every week.
Right.
You know? So, like, you know, you don't have this big stack of books coming in. I will say this, though. It works out for your benefit because, you know, you keep working, your store credit is just going to continue to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep, exactly. And not to mention that I can get cash. Cash is still available to me, too. Like I said, but even because of my gigs, because, you know, I'm a professional actor, I do have performances that allow me to earn a high level of pay with a small amount of investment when it comes to time.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, everything that you've done from what you've told me before, you're set up perfect. You have nothing to worry about at all.
Yeah. The only thing that I have to worry about is my mom and my son.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sadly,
and take care of my family.
You know, worst case scenario, the 2 comic book stores that you work for, worst case scenario, go out of business. You know, that's still not going to affect you. You're going to be okay.
It won't affect me. I'll be okay. You know, I'll be at Yancey. And again, you know, there's other options for me as well. I mean, there's Perry. There's Wonder Water. Like I said, Perry had that great idea of selling comics out there. And who knows, maybe in light of all this, maybe there might be a new comic shop popping up in the area in the aftermath of this tragedy. Maybe, you know, there's doors open and close all the time.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I've been doing a lot of promotion myself because of my eBay stuff that I do as well. Because, as you know, I have an expansive, you know, toy collection that I can sell on eBay, which I'm liquidating right now. I've got Austin Power toys. I've got McFarlane Monster toys. I've got Movie Maniacs toys. I've got all of these wonderful 90s and early 2000s Spawn toys that are all going up for sale. Just because I need the space, not because I need the money. I need the space.
Man, if I had more money, I'd definitely be buying stuff from you, you know. But
thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Send me the eBay link. I'll put it in the video. Send me the eBay link. I'll put it in the video so
people
right
can
on.
I can
go
hit
that. Up your eBay.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. But you know, I'm praying. I'm using the faith that I do have to send positive energy to everybody out there, to give them strength to get through this and to keep, you know, moving forward. Palante, you know, move forward, guys. You'll get through this. It's. I mean, I've been on vacation for 2 weeks where I don't spend any money and I don't go anywhere. I just stay home because I just need to decompress.
Yeah,
and I think that this is a great time for everybody to decompress, not panic,
Absolutely.
but decompress,
Oh,
and really get their affairs in order. If we do end up closing in the next 3 weeks, I've already got a plan. I've got to paint the outside of my house. So I've noticed Sherman-Williams is still open because apparently they're an essential business because they deal in construction and they have a lot of corporate accounts. So, I can buy a 5-gallon bucket of paint and get to painting, and I'll be happy to do a little Mark Twain action outside and have my friends out there painting the fence.
Yeah.
you can do the you could do the the local theater Karate Kid,
Right, there you go.
playing as Mr. Miyagi, and you're alluring.
Hey.
Hey, do you want to be an actor? I'll teach you how to act. Paint this fence. There you go.
A third of my friends aren't at work right now, so they have no excuse. And if they want to maintain social distancing, that's okay. I've got 16 walls here at my house. Just pick one. So yeah, I've got plans. I've always been a planner. I've always been ahead of the curve. I've always thought about what to do next before the last person thinks about what to do next. It's just the way I've always been. It's the way I raised my grandfather. God bless his soul. He always made sure that I had a contingency plan.
For a second there, I thought you said you raised your grandfather.
No. God, my grandfather, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
He that's another thing. I am not weighed down or it sounds like it's a bad choice of words, but my grandparents have all passed away. I have my mom, I have my dad. That's the only 2 senior citizens that are left in my household. My mom is the toughest woman you'll ever meet. I just took her to Walmart this past Friday. She wanted to go. I said, Mom, make me a list. I'll go for you. I don't want you to get exposed. My mom's an ex-nurse.
Right.
She was like, She goes, I know how to take care of myself in situations like this. I want to go. I want to get out of the house. I'm like, okay, fine. So, took her grocery shopping and watched her walk around this bear store laughing. She was literally laughing at all the silliness that's going around.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And my dad's in Georgia. He is out in the woods. I can't even call him sometimes because there's no reception in his area. So when it comes to social isolation, I think the closest neighbor of my dad is a half a mile down the street.
Yeah. You just send him a letter. Be like, hey, just call me when you get this letter.
Yeah.
3 days later, hey son, I just got your letter.
Yep. I've got one son who is stationed in Germany right now, and they're in a very isolated base as well, and they're on lockdown. They just opened up the gym for him, and he just sent me a little funny GIF about Terry Crews doing his gym workout exercise.
Oh yeah.
Because he was like, finally, I can get to work off some of this stress. He's a bodybuilder, so his workouts are very important to him.
Oh yeah.
Danny's gotten huge. You should see what he looks like. He's a big, strapping young man.
Yeah.
And then I've got my son Logan here, who is basically my backup. He's like my silent bodyguard. So that's pretty much the size of my family at the moment. When it comes to my friends and you guys, which are my comic book family, and you guys always seem to bounce back and know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You all got level-headed. For some reason, comic book collectors, they got brains.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, but most of them. You know what I'm saying? Most of the comic book guys that I know, some of them are pretty smart.
I suppose it depends on your definition of comic book collector. Because I've seen people who've gotten into the hobby. Would you say someone who's been collecting comic books for over a year is a comic book collector?
Nah, I would call him a newbie.
So your definition of a comic book collector would be over 5 years, maybe.
Well, let's put it this way. Let me change my statement. When you go to a convention, okay, when you go to like a MegaCon and FX or all those old conventions that you used to go to, and even the newer ones, the camaraderie that you find among the comic book community, they're there for each other. You don't see, fights. You don't see people pulling out automatic weapons. Thank God, knock on wood.
Nothing
You don't see
that extreme, no.
craziness like that. You see people
Right.
cheering and crying over a Star Wars trailer. You see people.
It's funny. I've you know, and I don't know if it's the same for you, but I know that I think one of the things I'm blessed with is working at different stores and growing up collecting comic books and being very social and meeting and talking with other people. Even, you know, getting to work at some conventions and meeting people there. You know, like I've met a wide variety of people, and not to mention, to add on to that, social media. You know, you find
Mhm.
other fellow fans on social media,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, there is that community, there is that, but make no mistake, there are people that because everybody's different with their personalities and everybody's different with their you know, some people are antisocial and
Yep.
they are trying to socialize with other people, but in doing so, sometimes it comes off bad. Like, you know, the one constant. No, he's good. The one constant that I've noticed, one constant that I've noticed about
I used to be that way.
See? Yeah.
the one constant that I've noticed amongst the comic book community, and it's not just the comic book community, it's just a human thing, is it all boils down to feelings. You know, sometimes people excuse me, sometimes people overreact. You know, sometimes you say something, whether it's a joke or you give an opinion, and then that person doesn't like your opinion, or they take your joke the wrong way. They immediately become angry. They become hostile. Right. That's a normal human thing to do, and I've seen that in everything. You know, in everything, even in the comic book community, I've seen that. You know, I one time with a customer, I was joking with him about Iron Man, and I was joking with him. I was telling him like, Iron Man sucks. Why are you reading Iron Man? You know, you should read this. You should read that. You know, and you know, the only reason I said that was because, you know, he was telling me like, oh well, Iron Man's my favorite character. So I was like just ribbing him, like giving a hard, you know, just joking with him.
Right.
But he took the joke the wrong way, you know, and then he immediately was upset, and he was just like, oh, you know what, you know, like to the point where he was about to like walk out the store, and I'm like, whoa, calm down, man. I was joking with you, but he didn't get that. You know,
right?
And that, again, that just boils down to like everybody's different. You know, there are some people that you need to know how to communicate with and how to joke with, and other people you know how to just treat them. You know, like some people don't like jokes, so you don't joke with that person. You know, or some people, everybody's different. You know, that's essentially what it is. You know, I've met a lot of great people in the comic book and, you know, community and industry, but I've also met some bad people. You know, like some of the worst people, to be honest. You know, and that's always disappointing for me. You know, it's always very disappointing for me because I like to believe like this comic book community, like we all have the same hobbies, we have the same interests, so we should be very much similar. But that's not true. You know, we are all very much different. We are either raised differently, we think differently, we feel differently. It's everybody, you know, it just so happens the one thing that does tie us together is the fandom, but even that I don't think is enough to like bring everyone together. It could, but we're just all so different and too different that it could never work. So all we can do is the best we can. All we can do is rally around the people who have the same mentality, that, you know, they want to unite, you know, unite the fans. You know,
like
remember in Braveheart when you know, William Wallace is like, we must unite the clans. You know, and I'm the same way. I'm like, we must unite the fans. You know,
sure, absolutely, yeah. But on, I would say the majority of comic book people are really open. They're easy to talk to. I'm saying the majority. They're very supportive. At least our customer base at both stores is phenomenal. They're amazing. They know that we're offering them things at deep discount. They know that, so they're coming in and they're buying.
It's nice of you to say that, and you know, because I used to feel the same way, and I used to think the same way when I worked at another comic book store. But you know, when things get tough, you're gonna see who's really there and who's not. So it's
Oh,
good
sure.
that they're there. You know, it's
Sure.
good. It's good that they're there, and it's good that they're supporting. But
Yeah, and we know that they can't. They're not going to be able to maintain that for long periods of time. We understand that. We understand that. You know, when the well runs dry, the well runs dry.
yeah, I hate to say it, but when it comes to the comic book community, one of the things that it lacks, in my opinion, from experience, is loyalty. I don't see a lot of loyalty. People are they're customers first, you know, they're people first, you know, they're customers. And the customers are going to essentially look out for themselves, what's in their best interest, what they like, what they
Oh, of
want.
course.
You know,
Yeah, they're human beings.
they're like purposely trying to hurt anybody or do anything. But at the same time, it's like it's one of those like, you know, hey, can you help out? Hey, can you help out? And it's like, I'm sorry things are happening. I'm sorry that bad things are happening. I wish you good luck. And then they go up on, you know, they go on about their business and they continue doing what they do with their hobby, what they like, what they want. Rightfully so, because that's their life, that's their choice, that's their decision. You know, so it's like that's great that you see what you see, but I've seen that too. And when things got really bad, I saw the reverse. You know,
Oh, okay.
and it
Yeah.
definitely affects the outlook and the feelings. You know, but
Yep.
I've learned to not let that discourage me. I've learned to
I,
be like, listen, that it's not personal, it's business.
I work at two competing comic book stores, and those who have said I will maintain loyalty with a comic book store has been surprised many times when they walk in and they're like, "Tim, what are you doing here?"
Yep.
I work here, buddy. Do you have a file here? Yeah, I know you already do. I checked. There's overlap. There's definite overlap. I know people who have files at both shops, but it's not about being disloyal. I think it's being loyal to being a comic book collector. I think it's loyal to the whole comic book community, supporting your local LCS.
Yeah, no. I mean, you are one of those people. Like I remember when I was working at Demolition Comics and you shopped there. You've told me that you've had multiple
absolutely
accounts at other stores. You know, so like
absolutely.
I get that. I totally understand it because you like the atmosphere and you like different atmospheres, and not to mention each store essentially offers something different than the other store, especially when it comes to like backstock or something. You're a collector, you know. So as a collector, like I used to do the same thing when I worked at Sam's Club. I used to blow my paychecks, blow them away. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go to the comic book store. Then after the comic book store, I'm going to go to FYE. And then after FYE, I'm going to go to Walmart. And then after Walmart, I'm going to go to Target. And then after Target, I'm going to go to Best Buy, you know. And I was just always buying like $20, $30 worth of stuff at each store, you know. And so like it's that shopping mentality and collector mentality. But in this case, for you specifically, it's just comics and comic stores, you know. So like I get that. There are some people that do that. And then there are some people who essentially like, they're going to shop based on convenience. So if they shop at one store, they're shopping there because it's closest to where they live. They really don't want to go through the hassle of driving all the way somewhere else to go shop somewhere else. Unless, of course, and I've heard this before from other stores and from experience, people would say, you know what, I come to this store, it's farther, but I prefer coming here because I like the environment better than the other store. There's some either kind of like hostility or bad experience that they had over there that, you know, now they're just, you know, affected by it, you know, to the point where they're like, I don't want to that. Or maybe there's just a, you know, a person that works there that they don't like, or a person that, you know, they don't like the owner of the business. Those are some of the other reasons, you know. So it's like there could be a dozen reasons. But I will say this though, there are some people that are just very passionate and insistent and say, listen, you know, they'll say like, I like you. I only want to do business with you because I trust you, because I can rely on you. You know, like, you know, those other stores, very iffy, don't know how I feel about them. But essentially it's like, you know, like for example, Tim, I'm sure a lot of people shop at the stores because of you. If you weren't working in those stores, they wouldn't be shopping there.
Yeah, there's a couple customers that come in on my day because it's not that they don't it's not like they dislike Glenn. They just don't seem to have the same camaraderie with Glenn.
Sure.
So some people are there to talk. Some people are there to, shoot the breeze or talk about current events.
Yeah.
And Glenn's just not a chatter. He's just not a chatter. Pete will talk, but Pete is such a quiet man. He just wants everybody to have a pleasant shopping experience. He wants them to have a great value. He'll try to talk with you a little bit, but don't expect him to open up. He's pretty much a private individual, even to his employees.
Sure.
We're not even allowed to take pictures with him. We've been trying to get a family picture, and he won't take a picture with us. He's like, we'll take a family picture, but I'll be the one taking the picture, and you'll see my finger.
Yeah.
And that's what you'll see.
I was gonna joke. He's gonna like look at you like confused, like family.
Pete definitely is. He's a great boss. As is, Glenn. Glenn has always been there for me. I got to admit, I know you have, bad tidings with Glenn, but he's been kind to me, and he's telling me I don't have to come and work. He says, Tim, go and work if you want to work. If you can make your salary in a day, then it was worth being there for you, because right now we have very little expenses. Like I said, we are in a blessed community that's taking care of us right now, and a blessed situation. But I don't ever want to get on one of these forums with Jeff. I poke fun at Jeff because, like we were saying earlier, he was the shy guy. He's the guy who didn't talk much. Every once in a while, he would come in the store, and then he had questions for me, but his questions were very smart, and he just really wanted to know.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, you're telling the guy who, had I not had the store, maybe you and Jeff never would have met.
Yeah, true.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a possibility. And Jeff, when he had weekends off, he would come in and he'd stay there the whole day with me. Sometimes he'd help me bag and board. Sometimes he didn't ask for anything. Every once in a while, I would say, here's a comic book for what you did, or here's your discount, or for helping me out, or on a non-discounted item. Glenn would probably be pissed if I told him that, but if Jeff really spent some time helping us organize, he would see no problem with it. Glenn has got a lot of acceptance for me, even though he's always making fun of me on Facebook with, Tim's a Trumper, but I got to admit, he's helping me out a lot. Yeah. So he hates the fact that I support Trump, but he loves the fact that I put his comic store first.
I think any, as you've put it before, smart individuals. I think any smart individual would, of course, want to be nice to the person that makes them thousands and thousands of dollars.
Sure. I get it.
I hate,
but he makes me money too.
I hate to say it, but in my opinion, if you weren't making him thousands and thousands of dollars, I highly doubt you'd be treated the same. But I only speak from experience. I only speak from experience. So.
I'm sure. But Jeff, like I was saying, Jeff, he's one of the reasons why I enjoy certain atmospheres in comic book stores. I like being able to get to know my customers, meet my needs. Sometimes Jeff comes in on Tuesday to look through the books that we get, and I'll show him books. Jeff, I think you should pick this one up, or Jeff, I think you would like this book. And he doesn't even say no. He's just like, okay, I'll take it. Every once in a while, he'll of course say no to a lot of stuff, but most of the time, if there's one that I really believe he should check out, and you know what, 9 times out of 10, he'll read it and he'll put it on his show, and he'll say nothing but nice things about that book, and then he'll come in and he'll buy the second issue. Sometimes he doesn't, but most of the times he does. And
I think what's great about that is that that goes to show how great of a relationship you two have, because one, he, and I don't think just him, I think the same way of you, and anybody that essentially knows you, especially in the comic book community, your books. You know your books. You know,
Yep.
like you have a certain type of quality. So when you make a recommendation, and like that's how I was at Demolition Comics. When I was at Demolition Comics, when I was reading everything, people would ask me, "What do you think? What do you think?" And I'd walk them from one side of the wall and walk them all the way down to the other side of the wall. I'd give them too many options that they're kind of just like, I don't know what to pick, and then I have to kind of redo it, but shorten it down to like, okay, these are my top 3, instead of these are my top 50 books, here are my top 3, and then they're like, okay, give me those 2, or let me start with that one. But essentially that's what you are, Tim. You're the expert. And so when you make a recommendation, even to a friend's gonna be like, oh, well, Tim says this is a good book. This is probably a good book. I got to check this out. Why would you say no? If you have the money and you're looking for something to read, and someone makes a recommendation, somebody that you know and you trust, of course you're gonna say yes. So I mean, but yeah, that's great. That's great that he does that. And it's great that he comes in and he supports you. He supports you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's I think we're gonna do just fine when it comes to all of this craziness. I'm more worried about comic publishers right now, because I think that this might even thin the herd of the comic publishers. I mean, people like Oni Press, which is a great little publishing company, to be honest with you.
No. Any of those small publishers, I wouldn't even worry about them. They're good.
Yeah.
It's the bigger.
They can bounce back.
Look, the majority of the business is Marvel and DC. If Marvel and DC are both affected heavily by this will in turn affect the entire industry, because those are the books that are ordered and bought and followed the most.
Right.
So the question is, what's going to happen to Marvel? What's going to happen to DC? Are they going to continue to maintain the numbers that they're maintaining now? I highly doubt it, because stores are going to close, and when stores close, that means Diamond is ordering less. Diamond is ordering less. That means Marvel and DC are making less. They're making less money. They're going to have to sit back and say, okay, how are we going to get back to the way we were before? Or in this case, when any company loses money, the first thing they always go after are employees. They're going to fire people. They're going to let people go. They're going to make less books, maybe. Marvel should make less books. They're killing the market by saturating and putting too many books out there, which already hurt comic stores, in my opinion. Boom Studios even made a valid point. They mentioned, like, listen, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. Start less books, but make sure that they're good books, and then your sales will grow. Boom's sales have been doing better. They've been growing. They've been doing outstanding work. And this is something, like the only smart thing that I've seen out of the big two has been DC. DC has been doing, I have a stack right here. I try to order one of each just to kind of like support it and then check them out. But like all these like little books right here.
Oh yeah.
These little books right here. These books, you can find these books.
Yeah, I got the Swamp Kid, and I got Zatanna. The Zatanna one that just came out.
Look, I got more. I didn't realize how many of these books they've been putting out.
Those are the young novel series. That's like the one that's coming out, Gotham High.
Yeah. It's the DC Zoom and DC Ink, which I think they're just going to change it up and just call it DC. But what's great is they're going after the book market, and like Scholastic, like books sell more than comic books, surprisingly. Even graphic novels, they sell more. And so now what they're doing is they're going after the much younger audience, and they're hoping to sway that younger audience into the graphic novel market, and maybe even going into comic stores and picking up single issues. Like it's kind of like you always have to reintroduce this new audience. People, I think sometimes when they think about people, they only think about the people in their age range, and they keep forgetting that every 5 to 10 years, there's a new group of adults that are entering the world, and they're like, they're learning about comic books, and they're, and like when we were kids, we were fortunate when we were kids, we can go into a grocery store, we can go into a convenience store, and there'd be like a spinner rack, and there'd be comics, and we can browse through them and look through them and be like, oh, this looks really cool, I'm going to buy this. You don't have that. You only have comic book stores, so, and it's up to the comic book stores to, essentially drive in the audience. But unfortunately, a lot of these people in comic book stores, they're not socially good. You know, like they have maybe antisocial skills. They're not good with marketing. They don't have any experience in marketing. You know, so they don't know how to advertise. They don't know how to push this or push that. You know, when, you know, back in the day, you didn't have to really advertise anything because it was everywhere. You can walk somewhere and be like, oh, look, there's some comics. You walk over there, oh, look, there's some comics. You don't have that now, you know. So all these future adults that are growing up, you know,
Mile High, and yeah, Mile High and those guys are exceptions. Mile High, Midtown, the Coliseum, those guys are exceptions.
They were
like
big
what Randall was saying.
that were smart and they invested their money. You know, and they knew that, you know, like look at Lone Star, right? Lone Star used to be like several comic book stores, and what did they do? They knew that the future was the internet, so they became the largest selling internet comic book business. You know, and they innovated, they got smart. They were like, okay, I need to do this. Okay, I need to do that. You know, and they invested the money. They invested the money that they had. You know, nowadays it's tough to have any kind of money to invest, unless, of course, you know, you have like a really good high-paying job, or you have a family that has a lot of money that's willing to let you borrow the money, invest the money, you know.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind working for Lone Star and being on their buyers, the guys who go out and basically fly to different parts in the country and look at these collections.
Oh, sure.
And basically put in bids for these collections. I would love to do that. That would be something that would interest me. I think that would put me on another level of comic collecting and being able to go out there and,
you know what? You know what you should do is save up some money. Hey, tickets are cheap right now. You could probably fly out to Texas and start interacting with them and talking with them and say, hey, by the way, my name is Tim Guerreri, and you know, I've been in this, you know, collecting comics for a long time. You know? I'm sure they'll quiz you. They'll quiz you, and you'll be like, boom, 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 boom. They'll be like, this guy knows shit. You know?
Yeah. And I'm good with buyers. I'm good with sellers too. I'm honest. I'm straightforward, but yet I also tell them about the, you know, being able to have to flip it around and sell it out of a store or off the internet, and there's costs that are involved in that too. So we can't always pay, you know, top dollar on everything. Some things are just filler books. Other things are key issues. You know, so I'm really good at buying collections at a fair market value, and my customers always feel as if they've got a good deal, and I always feel as if we can turn those books around rather quickly and also turn a profit, and that's what Glenn likes about my buying skills.
Again, you know, like, of course he's, you know, and not just Glenn, it's any person that is like, hey, this guy's gonna make me tons of money. Great. Make me rich. Keep working for me.
Right.
I just this is going to be a new world order when it comes to comic books. I think in the next 4 months, 5 months, I think we're going to really see a lot of changes. I'm actually kind of excited. Not to be negative, you know, because right now that might sound like a negative connotation, but really and truly, I'm excited about it.
You just look. There's nothing wrong with being honest. You are a collector, and what do collectors love? They love it. They love the good deals. They love the good prices. And let's be real, the best deals and the best prices is when a store goes out of business. You know?
Yeah.
So the collector in
right now,
the collector in you is like, you know, I want some deals. I want deals. And you're not the only one. I've seen dozens of people out there say it.
Yeah, I think the speculators too are going to lose interest as well, because they're not getting their weekly dose. No.
I agree. But I mean, like, the speculators. Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing about the speculators, though, is like if they do this as a side hustle, to them, it's just a giant pause button. It's like, you know, pause. Okay, cool. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep working. And then I'm just going to wait till these new books come out. And then when these new books come out, I'm going to buy them in bulk, turn around, sell them. Business as usual. Business as usual, you know.
Right. So I'm just curious to see how it affects all, you know, the market in a whole. We've got, you know, I want to see how it affects things like Key Collector. I want to see how it affects the online community and movement of books selling online. I want to see how it works when it comes to digital print and print or digital. I want to see how that's going to. I'm just very curious to see where this goes. And I guess because I've been through some of the best parts of comic book collecting and some of the lows of comic collecting, I'm really curious to see what happens next.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I mean, I think digital wise, I don't have a problem with digital because the people who get digital, the majority of them, in my opinion, they don't pick up single issues. They don't pick up graphic novels. You know, if they do, it's once in a blue moon. They're not the customers that you essentially see in comic book stores. You know, they're the once in a blue moon.
I wish digital was more honest, though. I wish less books pop up on the internet for free when you know that they've been scammed in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. I wish the digital service was probably a little bit more affordable to where it doesn't feel like you should have to steal a book online.
Yeah, it is. It is. The thing is, one, I think it's a waste of time for them to even be doing digital books, new books as digital. I think it's a waste of time because I think the numbers are very low.
The big issue the big issue with digital is when a normal copy costs you $5.99, the damn digital copy is going to cost you $5.99. It shouldn't be that way. It should be.
Oh no, I agree. That's
because you don't have to print it.
That's what I'm saying. Like the smart digital readers, in my opinion, are the ones that get the Marvel Unlimited. You know, all they have to do is wait a year, and the stories that they want to read now will be on there for them to read for free, essentially. You know, same thing with DC Universe. DC Universe has over 20, maybe over at this point over 30,000 books for people to just read. You know. And that's the great thing about comic books is like you don't really have to read the newest books that are coming out. You don't have to. You can read any comic book. You can read anything.
I had a customer come in today, and he just happened to be in the area. He had his girlfriend with him. She was from out of town, and they came in, and he goes, "You know what? The last time I was reading comic books," he says, "the Blackest Night was going on in Green Lantern," and I was like, "Hey, we can pick up where you left off. Do you remember what you were reading?" And he was like, "Well, you know, it was a mini series. It was so I showed him around the store. He picked out a few things. I also showed him some of our sets that we had that have the new Rebirth Green Lantern. I said, this will be a great way to catch up to show you where Green Lantern's at now. Yeah. And that way you can compare the two. And you can start, you know, from the early 2000s and jump back into, you know, late DC or new 52, or you can just skip all that and just pick up here at Rebirth or something even closer like the new Grant Morrison Green Lantern, if he was a Green Lantern, because he was a huge Green Lantern fan.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, and that is one of the great things about graphic novels is for people who fall behind. If they really want to catch up, you get the graphic novels, you read, and then once you're caught up, you can actually start reading the single issues if you want to. I did that with Walking Dead. I missed out on Walking Dead when it first came out, and I bought the Absolute Edition, the first one.
Oh, right on.
And I think it was like the first 24 issues, I think. And so I went through that baby, man. Like I remember, I always forget to tell this story. You know, my parents, we were traveling. I think we went to the Philippines, I think. And but there was like one day where we stopped in Hawaii. And I had been reading The Walking Dead. I brought the book with me, and I'd been reading it. And I remember, like, I was getting so hooked on the book at this point that I remember, like, I'm in the hotel room. I open up the curtains. I look outside, and I'm like, man, it looks beautiful outside. And part of me is like, I should go out there. I should go out there and, you know, enjoy it. And then I slowly just turn, and I look on the bed, The Walking Dead book. And I just go back to the bed and I just lay there reading The Walking Dead. You know, I'm in Hawaii for a day, you know, and I'm like, Walking Dead, you know, and so like that's how good it was, you know. Like I used to tell people, like, they're like, how good is Walking Dead? And I'm like, let me tell you how good Walking Dead is. I was in Hawaii for it. You know, I tell them that story and they're like, all right, I got to try this book out, you know. But no, I mean, essentially, like I go through that book, and once I finished the book, I was like, okay, I need my fix. You know, I start picking up the single issues, you know?
Yeah.
So thankfully, because I started picking up single issues, I got that first appearance of the Governor, you know?
Right.
Granted, I'm sure it's not worth as much as it is now, you know, like, not as worth as much it is now as it was like at the hype of the show, even though
Sure.
surprisingly the show is still popular, which people tell me all the time, like, you got to
Right.
jump back on it or you got to catch up. It's gotten really good, and I'm just like, ugh, like all the main characters are practically gone. Like, why would I want to continue watching this? So one day I'll catch up on it.
Sure, totally get it. Totally understand. Yeah, I mean, this is all going to be fun. How about you, Jeff? What do you think? What do you, as a collector, somebody who doesn't work in a comic book store, how does this make you feel that there's going to be no new books coming in?
I mean, it doesn't hurt me at all because it gives me a chance to work on my Warren Comics Vampirella run. So it gives me the extra money to work on that instead of getting new books. So that's not actually a bad thing. And maybe I can get my Vampirella one finally.
Well, that's a very positive way of looking at it.
Just get a credit card and slap that baby on it. Be like,
yeah. Right.
Ah, man.
That's a great way of looking at it.
That's the part. Yeah.
Yeah. For those of you who are working and have the ability to save up some money, not only can you maybe donate to friends and family who are stuck out of work right now and help them out, but you could also save up for that Grail book that you've always wanted. Right on. Look at that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Is that artwork or is that a photo cover?
Carla Cohen. It's a photo. It's not a photo cover. It's actually a painting by Carla Cohen.
Oh, beautiful! It's beautiful. I like the glistening of light on her sword. That's pretty cool. Or is that just from your light in your room? Move the book around.
No. It's from. Yeah.
Oh, right on. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
it is. It's part of it.
It's actually
that's really neat. I really like that. That's a really cool looking book. Sexy lady.
Was that a funny thing? I got this all the way. It was C2E. It was a C2E2 exclusive, and I just got it this week. So it came from Scott's Collectibles from England, and it was cheaper to come from England than Canada.
Wow!
How funny is that? How funny is that?
Funny.
The shipping was. Take a guess what the shipping was from Canada to here, or from UK from here to here.
$14.
$7.
Okay.
I win.
$7 for shipping, but for Canada it was $20 for shipping just for them to ship something like this.
Oh wait, the book was $7.
So I couldn't beat it.
It was $20.
No. The shipping, the book was maybe $20 because it's an exclusive cover. It's a C2E2 exclusive.
Okay.
But wanted another 20 in Canada to ship it. They wanted another 20 in Canada to ship it. But in the UK, they only wanted 7 to ship it.
Oh, the UK only wanted 7.
So, that's kind of funny. Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed or not, but my streaming is a little better because I'm closer to my router here in my room. So I haven't been pausing and I haven't been stuttering and all that stuff. Neither has Randall. So it's good to see that it might be Jeff's main connection. Yeah. That seems to be the one that is really always causing us to freeze.
I have my computer hooked up to my router direct now. Before I was doing it wirelessly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's just my room is so much closer to the main router. What's that?
Yeah.
You got to upgrade your tech.
To plug it in mainly upgrade my tech. I'm working on it. Oh, and I got this from the Kickstarter from Hell, which kicks the mystery envelope from Lito.
What did he give you?
This for here in 67 made of this sketch by Don Mateague.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
Yeah. It's only 67. Yeah.
Right on.
It's only 67, and the funny thing is, I watched him sketch it. I watched her sketch it.
Oh,
It's
nice.
pretty funny. I watched her sketch this cover. Yeah. So it's kind of funny that I actually own it now. So I'm gonna
Now,
have
is that
her
a
and
copy of her
Brian sign it.
sketch, or is that a copy of her sketch, or is that an actual sketch cover?
It looks like an actual sketch cover.
So that's an original
me
piece of
looking
art.
at it looks like yeah. And it came
Right
in the
on.
mystery envelope. It's
Very
only
cool.
Yeah, it's 67 of her pieces of art. There's 67, and there's a Lucio Perillo. There's all kinds of different covers. Like, you know how he does, man. Like, all the stretch goals, stretch goal stuff, and
Right.
pretty much got a pig, got a the cover that was that Perillo did is this one here. Yeah, I got it on a magnet. I'll show you guys now. That's the cover he did.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
the cover he did. Yeah, and if you back for 800 or 600 bucks, you got this, or you could have got it in the mystery envelope, the metal edition in the mystery envelope.
Oh, right on.
Yep. So yeah, not much. I didn't get much this week. I only got these things in the mail, but this thing was supposed to come in the beginning of March. But since you remember, how he had a scene in the book that the printer didn't want to print it, so it took a little longer than normal.
Right on.
Well, and then the funny thing is, a lot of the Kickstarters are emailing me saying, since this COVID-19 thing, a lot of the printers are closed, so it's going to take a little longer for some of your Kickstarters to come out. Like I kickstarted the Frank Cho 20-year art or something art book, and then I Ingrid art book I actually backed. So both of those guys are saying because
You actually just brought up a good idea.
shutdown.
You actually just brought up a good idea. Like you mentioned Kickstarter, and I just realized now actually would be the perfect time for people to do a Kickstarter because
Absolutely.
with no new comic books coming in, people are like, they have a little bit of money, right? So at least some of the people do, and they'll be like, you know what? No new comic books are coming in, so this is my opportunity to put some money down on the Kickstarter. So
and Kickstarter doesn't take it out until the day of the Kickstarter ends. When that Kickstarter ends is when they put the money
that's
out.
why I'm saying, like, if you start a Kickstarter now and you make the Kickstarter for 2 weeks, you got your money.
Yeah.
Nice.
So a little addition to my this is going to be for my Rob Zombie Halloween montage. Instead of getting, I love William Forsythe as an actor, but let's face it, he's not a handsome man. So putting him on like an 8x10 in a Halloween piece might be a little overpowering. So I've got a nice little autograph card of William Forsythe. Nice. And as you can see, not only is it autographed, but it's got an actual, what they call a swatch of his shirt right there. So that's a dual card. And it's also on a foil card, as you can see. So we've got a nice little current look of William, looking actually really rather attractive, or at least handsome, instead of being, the rough redneck that he always plays in the films, or the crazy Italian man. So this is going to add to the because I've got already 3 other autographs from the Rob Zombie version of Halloween. Not a lot of people love the Rob Zombie Halloween, but he is Michael Myers still, and I still love the idea of Michael Myers. So I've got him, and I've got Tyler Mane, who actually played Mike Myers. I've got the kid who plays the younger Doug Freisch. He also is he plays young Mikey, or Little Mike. That's how he likes to sign his autograph. And I also have the young female who was also in Forrest Gump. She played little Jenny when she was sitting on the branch. But she was also the daughter, one of the early kills in the film. She's very sexy. That one I've got an 8x10 because she's very sexy. So I thought that's a nice little addition. And I got that for a small percentage of what you would normally have to pay to get his autograph at a convention. At a convention, he's a $20 to $30 to $40 signer, depending on the conventions that he signs at.
Yeah.
You know, $8.
Oh, nice.
You know, this is for Jeff. Jeff will probably laugh at this, but it might be a little.
You gave me an idea.
I gave you an idea. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, I know where you're going with that.
Yeah, you gave me an idea for this one. The word bubble.
Oh, right on. Yeah, the word bubble.
That's what I'm gonna end up doing. Have Carla do. Well, yeah. Instead,
I hope,
probably.
Jeff, I don't really watch the show Archer, but I know it's funny. I try to watch it from time to time just to see where it's at. But this is for Jeff. I got a James Hong autograph.
Nice.
Yep.
Oh,
and
yeah.
his character that he plays on Archer. And that's a hand-signed autograph. And as you can see on the back, yep, you know, congratulations. This card was personally signed by James Hong as Bucky, which is very racially charged for an Asian character. Sorry, Jeff. I hope that's not as offensive to you, because I know Archer and South Park and things like that can be offensive.
Nah, man.
But
because he's a comedian, he's a comedic actor anyway, so he likes making fun of himself. I'm the same way. I like making fun of it because we're Asian. We're allowed to. It's just, yeah, man. It's like.
So it's just another form of James Hong. It doesn't have his actual Chinese calligraphy that he likes to do on his book, but guess how much I paid for this card?
$5.
How much?
There you go, $5.
That's cool.
So an official James Hong autograph.
A James Hong autograph cost you at least $50. At least $50.
Yeah.
So
is that how much it cost you to get his autograph?
That's cheaper than.
Oh, you got a picture with him too.
It cost me like yeah. No, but it was 50 at the table. So
yeah,
it was like 50 at the table, and then it was like 75.
You got some Superman comics I'm going to show off here.
What you got? Kind of figured.
So I got Superman.
Everybody wants to see comics anyway.
Yeah.
Nice.
Superman Batman number 44.
The cover artist is I always forget the damn cover artist name.
Shane Davis.
Oh, okay. That's it.
And then this is
not the one I was thinking about, the other guy. Yeah.
This is pretty cool because this was the clone of Aquaman.
Oh, right, yeah.
Number 46.
Very nice.
I like
anything 352 is nice.
I like mentioning Shane Davis because I really like his art. I really didn't get into his art. Like when these issues came out, I had temporarily quit comics. My first real experience of Shane Davis was the Superman Earth 1 graphic novel. And I had started to like go on Facebook and start like friend requesting like people who, you know, write and draw for DC Comics. So Shane Davis, I think he accepted my friend request because I remember kind of like he would post stuff on Facebook and I would ask him a question, or I would make like, you know, like the way he drew Lois Lane in Superman Earth 1, it looked like the actress from the TV show Dexter. I forget. She played the sister to Dexter. And so when I mentioned the actress, his response was maybe, you know, like as in like, yeah, you know, I mean, it essentially it's her, but I'm not going to tell you, yes, it's her, you know, because, you know, he could get in trouble maybe.
Right.
But it's so cool. Like, and one of the things I like mentioning about Shane Davis right now is he started a YouTube channel. And so he recently did a video where he's showing people like how to draw, you know, and he's giving them like behind the scenes because he's currently doing Metal Men for DC Comics right now. And so it's pretty cool. Like, and he gets like a little personal and he starts like talking about like some of his experiences. Like he was supposed to be like receiving a box of comps from like, you know, upcoming Metal Men issue. and sometimes he quote unquote sleepwalks. So he was like, yeah, I heard a knock on the door, and I got up, and sometimes like I'm not fully awake, so I walked to the door, and I didn't realize it, but I was like in my underwear, and then I open up the door, and it's a male person. It's a woman, so like apparently like she gave him like a smirk or gave him a look or whatever, and so he mentions that like on the on his YouTube channel, the video, which is kind of funny. It's funny, but it's cool to hear him talk as he's talking about like just his experiences and his he's talking about, I think tomorrow he's mentioning that he might do like a live YouTube video, like a live Q&A, so you can go on there, you can ask him questions and interact with him.
That'd be cool.
I think he's pretty cool. I think he's a cool artist. I was a little worried that he was like leaning towards becoming a cover artist, because for a while he hadn't done a comic book, and any of his artwork I would see it would specifically be like art, like cover art. And I got some of these right here. Like one of these days I will go through like all my goal is to collect every Superman book. So
Sure.
I mean, all of Action Comics, all of Adventures of Superman.
Good luck with the Action Comics.
Yeah, it's gonna happen one day. It really will.
Yeah.
But there's some Action Comics right here. This is Nightwing and Flamebird, which many people probably might not know this, and maybe I would imagine Tim, you know this. What is the actual origin of Nightwing and Flamebird?
The DC version of Nightwing and Flamebird, the ones that were in the Action Comics.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean not these characters, but like how the term Nightwing and Flamebird like essentially came about.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Okay, so Nightwing and Flamebird apparently in from what I've read in Superman's lore, basically Superman said that Krypton had its own version of Batman and Robin back in the day.
Oh, right.
And so Krypton, Batman and Robin were Nightwing and Flamebird. And what's cool is that when Dick Grayson became Nightwing, I don't know if they retconned it or they added it in, but they mentioned that Dick Grayson basically was inspired by Superman because Superman had told him the story about Nightwing, that he donned the name Nightwing when he became his own. Superman was his oddly enough, Superman was Nightwing's inspiration to become Nightwing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then we got
that's kind of cool.
I hope one day to meet Richard Donner, because this is so cool that Jeff Johns and Richard Donner worked on the comic together. This is the action.
Oh yeah. I remember that one.
Oh yeah, and I love the fact that Adam Kubert did the art. Like I would love to get Adam Kubert these as well one day. And I'm sure you remember these back when DC was trying something new with Action Comics, and they were making it. What was it? Weekly?
An anthology book.
Yeah. There's like an anthology book. They did that. They probably did that for like a solid year, and then they went back.
A solid year. I think it was a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought this is cool. I love Green Lantern, so I love to see that Green Lantern on Action Comics. Well,
yeah, I just like the whole idea that you can see so many different characters in Action Comics.
Yep. And then I'm sure you know the importance of this book. There's some type of importance.
Well, that's the whole change up. That's when Luthor got his armor and when Brainiac upgraded to the superpowers version of Brainiac. That's pretty much what I remember, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like updated. I think it was an updated origin appearance or something like that. Or
yep. Well, that's when the whole superpowers thing really started pushing.
Yeah.
Because that's when the action figures came out too.
Yeah.
For the superpowers. Yeah.
I also hope to one day eventually, and I know it's like, I think Adventure Comics. I forget what issue. It's one of those series where they introduce the actual Kryptonians, the evil Kryptonians. So it's always neat to see like the Kryptonians, the evil Kryptonians show up in the Action Comics. And so like anything I see them pop in, like I try to get it, because I don't even think I think it was like different names, right? Like there wasn't like a General Zod. He was like somebody else, I think.
That annual you showed me, the Action Comics annual that has Brainiac and Luthor on the cover, was that a $1.50 or a $2 book?
It was $1.50.
$1.50. I bought that book at a place called Extra Extra Newsstand in Town and Country that used to be in the shopping plaza across the street from Albertsons, from Memorial and Hillsborough. So if you know where Memorial and Hillsborough intersect,
Okay.
there used to be an Albertsons on one side, and on the other side there was a Publix.
Yeah.
And right next to that Publix, about three shopping little stalls down, was a newsstand, and it was called the Extra Extra Newsstand. And I remember going in there as a kid with my allowance money, and I was a preteen. I think I was. That probably came out in I want to say 85 maybe, or 84. Check what's the date on that annual?
Let me see. Well, it says 45th fabulous year. So 45, add 45 years to 1938.
40, 70, 75, 80, 83.
Yep.
Okay. So 83, 1983, I was close. I remember going in there, and I remember while I was buying not only that annual, but I was also buying the Legion annual that has the first appearance of the new Invisible Kid, the black version of the Invisible Kid.
Okay.
It has like this young girl in like a Buddha pose, and she's floating in the air, and she's got this psychic energy coming out of her head, and Lightning Lad is being thrust against this side of the panel, and Saturn Girl is being thrown up against this side of the panel, and they're being overwhelmed and overtaken by this young girl who happens to be Invisible Kid's sister. And it turns out that he becomes a Legionnaire after that issue for saving all their asses. But
Nice.
I met a guy here in Tampa who used to own the Comics Cave in St. Petersburg. He just happened to be there, and he called himself the Comic King of Tampa. And I remember that story so vividly because of those two annuals that came out. Because those were the two annuals I was looking for, because it was, to me, when I was young and naive, they were number ones.
Yeah.
So I really wanted those two annuals from both of those series.
I gotta tell you a story when I was young and naive.
Yeah, and this young guy, he was a very heavy set, smelled horrible, and he called himself the Comic King. He said, "You should come out to my comic store in St. Petersburg called the Comic Cave." And I'm like, wow, the Comic King lives in a comic cave. That just didn't make any sense to me.
You would think it'd be the Comic Castle.
Yeah, the Comic Castle, man. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, when I was young and naive, right? You mentioned number ones. So this was obviously, mid 90s, probably like 95, 96. I would go into, my dad was military retired, so we'd go into the MacDill Air Force Base. I would go into, there was two shops. There was the BX and there was the Shopette. And I think the Shopette always had like a spinner rack of comics. And then the BX would have like shelves, and they would put it there with magazines. So I looked through the comics, and I saw books like Batwing and not Batwing, Dark Claw. I would see like books like Dark Claw, and I would see books like Iron Lantern, and I'd see these number ones. I would see these number ones on there, and I'm like thinking, oh, this is great, and then I would read those issues, and month after month after month would pass, and I'm like, when is number 2 coming out? And I didn't know what a one shot was, and I didn't know this was a special promotion between Marvel and DC. I thought they were making up all new characters, and they were just I thought they were just taking a DC and Marvel character and making a brand new character. I'm like, sweet, this is going to be a great new ongoing series, and so I learned, and I was so disappointed. I was like, these books look great, like these characters look interesting. Like I was like, I want more of this, and we will never get more of it. Maybe in an alternate universe there is, but not here.
Not to make fun, but that's the way I felt when Atlas came back and started printing comics, and they only went to like issue 2 or 3, and I was like, when's the next issue coming up?
Yeah.
They never came.
I wish, maybe with Marvel and DC's permission, I think it'd be fun if someone just would just be like, you know what, I'm just going to make these stories, I'm going to draw and write these stories for free, and people can just read them and enjoy them and have fun. And then if Marvel and DC want to do a 50-50 split, where, whoever, self-publishes it and says, okay, here's your cut and here's your cut, that would be cool. That would be cool if, there was a way to do that,
Yeah. I really would like to see the rebirth of the Malibu universe and bring those characters back into the mainstream Marvel. They're creating crappy characters. I came up with some villains, by the way, to battle the new Mutants. So we've got a Snowflake and Safe Space. We've got Trailblazer. We've got Springtime and Be Negative.
You're already gonna get 150,000 people. They're gonna be like, nope, nope.
So I've got two good villains, and of course, we've got Microaggression. That's the name of his character. And the smaller he gets, the more intense his vocalizations become. So when he shrinks down, his vocalizations become as acute as a laser, and it could penetrate even the hardest of heads. So that's Microaggression.
Have him fighting Black Bolt.
Right, there you go. And then of course we have to have our Superman-like character. We'll call him Patriarchy.
Yeah. or what we could do, if you really want to make new supervillains, why not take every character that has the name Black in front of them and make them white characters and have them called White Panther, and then you got White Lightning, you can have all these guys show up and they become a villain.
Well, that would be racist, but I'm not being racist. I am being anti-SJW. There's a big difference.
Oh, okay.
So that's going to be one of my characters. I got the Patriarchy. I've got Microaggression, and then of course I've got what did I call him? Oh gosh, I forgot the third one. I got it written down somewhere, but I was actually having some fun with it, and I would like to see if anybody out there would like to draw these characters for me, so we can post them somewhere on Facebook and see if we can't get just as much attention as Marvel did with their new Mutants books.
You could do the what is it? Instead of Green Lantern, it's the yellow flashlight. You can do
the flashlight. Okay, we got it. The flashlight.
No, sure. That would be the pink. That would be the pink flashlight.
Pink and teal is in right now. Hold on. Let me get into my Marvel costume. Hold on. Hi, everybody. Hi, I work for Marvel.
Boy.
My new name. My new name is now Tomoshka. You got to call me Tomoshka. Tomoshka is my new name, and I identify as a non-gender, non-restraining, non-restrictive individual of humankind.
And be careful though, because you don't want to upset the incredible Donny Cates.
Yes.
You'll make him angry.
Here's a message for Donny Cates. That's a message for Donny Cates. That's my Wolverine message for Donny Cates. Sorry, and I don't mean to be mean. Actually, no, I don't. I want to take that away. I don't mean to be mean to Donny Cates because I don't want to stoop low like Donny Cates did. I take that back. Donny, you should be better than that. These are your customers, and you need to step up to the plate. And you know what? Respect people's opinions, plain and simple. If they don't like a book, then they don't like a book. So stop telling people to F off.
Part of me thinks that the only reason maybe Donny reacted that way is obviously one, he was angry, and two, some people sometimes maybe they have an anger management issue, and 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 when and let's be real, when
Yeah.
one of the worst things you can do,
Like,
one of the worst things that you can do is get
yeah,
on
it's
social
probably
media
one of his friends.
and start writing and typing stuff when you're angry.
I think Jeff was trying to say something, but he's freezing. Yep, he's frozen.
That
Yeah, I was saying, it's yeah, yeah, pretty much. That happens all the time.
Yep. So I think Donnie, mistake me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But is Donnie from New York City?
I don't know. I don't think
No.
so. I don't hear him with the New
He's
York
Texas.
accent.
He's Texas, born and raised.
Oh, okay.
Texas. Okay, that's good to know. Yep. All right. Yep. There is a different mentality going on in Texas. I can tell you that right now, especially politically. So maybe it's just the stress of that clash that's going on in Texas.
I've heard like Donnie like say other things, like obviously not on record, but I mean, a couple people have told me like, oh yeah, I saw Donnie Cates and he said this when I walked past him, like, they kind of like eavesdrop in a little bit, and
Right.
he didn't have like nice things to say about specific situation, and this
Sure.
this was at a convention and stuff like that,
Right.
so like it's just one of those things, like everybody has a right to an opinion, and if
Sure.
if you display that opinion and you dislike it, that's your right as well too, and it's the mentality of like, it's always trying to get into the mindset of why would somebody say that, why do they think that way, why do they feel that way, and it could be something that sparks,
Right.
something that triggered them, something that but I mean, like, also I feel like Donnie's reaching a point in his career, like, he went from like, a writer that's been working in the business and trying to make it big. He went from that to just all of a sudden huge.
Superstar.
Yeah, he's huge now. He's up
Boom.
there, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Marvel, they want to continue building in sales.
Right.
One of the things that they have to do is they need to have creative people coming up with content, especially content that people enjoy and like. And so there was this spark of like excitement for some of the stories that Donnie was writing. Granted, he shouldn't get all of the credit because, like the artists that he worked with that worked on the book themselves, they also deserve a lot of that credit as well, because, when you think of the comic book, the process of making a comic book, it's, and I learned it from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, seeing them talk at a panel and them breaking down how they both work together to make a comic book. Like you realize like, oh, not everything that happens in the comic book is Snyder's idea. Some of those ideas are essentially the artist's idea as well. It's a collaboration. It's a collaboration.
Absolutely.
The best collaboration that I've seen personally with Donnie has been with what's the artist? Ryan Stegman. I love Ryan Stegman's enthusiasm.
Yeah.
He has a real love for comics, and he has like a real excitement for like putting stories out there. Great personality, very funny, good guy to work with. And so when you see him drawing like Venom, like when he was doing the what was it, Absolute Carnage? When they were doing that, there was a lot of excitement for it. But then unfortunately, the tail end of it, people were just like, they were kind of like let down. Maybe it was too much overhype on the story, maybe.
Sure.
But I don't know. I mean, I just think that, Donnie's making that transition from being like this, struggling writer to like all of a sudden he's a big success. He's so much of a big success that, he's at conventions charging for signatures.
Yeah.
Imagine being a writer where you'd be happy if you had 100 people lined up for your signature. You'd be happy to have that. But not only does he have that, he gets to charge them all like $5-10 a piece for the signature, So that's just extra ways of him making money as well, which is good for him and good for his career. Like he's like riding on this big wave, I hope, like I'd like to kind of see what he would do over at DC, like I would love to see him and Stegman work together on a Batman book. I think that'd be very, very exciting. But Marvel's not going to let go of Donnie. Marvel, You know, I mean,
Nope.
Donnie gets pretty good sales. He gets pretty good sales, and that's what's important for Marvel right now is performance and sales in their books. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Like, I don't know. I don't hear too much excitement for Thor. You know, people said that they've been enjoying Thor, they've been liking it, but compared to like, you know, some of the other books that he worked on, compared to Venom, compared to Thanos, you know, like,
and he didn't get much. He didn't get much acclaim for his Guardians of the Galaxy run either.
That's true, yeah, but that's because I think that's one of the books that, you know, they started having him do like 2, maybe 3 books a month, and I think Marvel noticed that, you know, the quality was probably starting to like dwindle because maybe it's too much of a workload for him. Maybe I could be wrong.
The last thing you want to do is.
But don't forget, he was
what's that, Jeff?
at the same time. He was writing the Country movie at the same. He was writing that God Country movie at the same time when he was writing Guardians and the other stuff.
Right,
So
right.
Oh, he's writing a movie.
Oh, that's right. He's writing the script for God Country.
He's right. He was writing this.
Right. Well, you know, I still don't think you should talk to your fans that way. I think you should have a little bit more respect. And you know what? It's better to just come off as neutral.
Yeah.
Just be neutral. Just like, hey, I don't have any comments about that. I just want to get my work done. I want to get it done on a timely basis, and I want people to enjoy the work that I do.
Well, yeah, but you know, it's the same. Like, I think, like I said, like I think it's just one of those, like, you start to live in a bubble. You know, you're reaching this certain type of success, and you get comfortable, and you get so comfortable to the point where, like, you know what, I just want to express myself. This is how I feel. I should be able to express myself. If I want to tell somebody to fuck off, I should be able to say fuck you and fuck off. Part of my language, you know. But that's how I think some people are, you know.
Right.
And so that's what he did. He just went all out, you know. And yeah, I mean, and some people are blessed. They're lucky to be able to even do that, you know. Yeah. Some people are able to say, you know what, I don't need this job, you know. If I say something and they don't like it and they want to fire me, okay, go ahead, fire me. I'll find something else. That's how well Donny Cates is doing. That's how well he's doing, you know. And
it's not an excuse, though.
Right.
No, I'm not saying it's an excuse, but what I'm saying is that that's the bubble. That's where he's in. Yeah, that's where he's in, and that's what he feels like he can say.
Right now, Marvel's not going to get rid of him.
No. Well, I mean,
Marvel's not going to get rid of him at all. So.
No, if anything, he's being brainwashed over at Marvel. I think he's actually fitting in quite well at Marvel and their current house of ideas, where they have a very left-leaning, you know, creative group of people that are just, you know, the way they are.
And what's interesting, you know, it's funny is, like, you know, now that you mention it, Tim, like the left-leaning, right? It's interesting. Like, is that where everything is going? Is everything going left? Because, you know, Marvel still has like the best sales. They still have the biggest sales, you know? So it's for like Donny Cates to say something like that, and for them to be able to put out books like that people don't want, but yet Marvel still has those sales, you know? Because let's be real, like those 100,000 people that probably said, you know, that clicked no, how many of them are actually even reading comic books? They could be just people who are upset and wanted to voice their opinion and be like, click no, you know? But it's like, you know, and like we've said before, if you don't like something and you want to make a statement, the best thing to do is don't buy it. When you don't buy it,
talk with your wallet. Absolutely. I think there's a lot of people who actually clicked no who are actual comic readers, because that was a tweet that was in a comic forum. So I think that I mean, it's all over YouTube. YouTube is really pounding this.
Comic books.
Say again?
I said 100,000 though. Like, that's a lot of people. Like, you know, like,
yeah, that's a lot of people. You're absolutely right. But still,
I don't even see that many people buying that many Marvel books.
Look, I'm gonna put it as simple as this. He works for Marvel. And one of Marvel's flagship characters says, with great power comes great responsibility. And if he can't understand that with that great power that he has as an influencer in Marvel and comics and the comic industry himself, that he should be he will show how much responsibility he does have, and that power can be corrupt and it can be taken from him. And he lost a lot of points with me, and it's going to be hard for me to pick up one of his books, hearing that echo in the background where he basically tells everyone to just go fuck off. I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel. How would you feel if your dentist told you that? Would you go back to your dentist who told you, Randall, you know what? You really have some really fucked up teeth, and I really don't like you. I'll work on you because you're paying me, but go ahead and just go fuck yourself, because you know what? I'm going to give you the worst, crappiest job, and I'm going to make sure I don't put the painkillers in the right place, and you're going to feel every bit of it. How would you feel about that? Would you go to that dentist again? Would you open your mouth to that dentist and allow him inside your body? No, you probably wouldn't. And that's how I feel about my comics.
That might be a bad analogy.
I feel as if that he, as a writer, gets inside of me in my head, and he creates images and moments in my head that are memorable, and I really would love to cherish those. And it really sucks when you got somebody who you admire and appreciate the talent of, and watch them rise and actually help them rise by pushing his books in comic stores.
Oh yeah.
And he goes off and does this because all he's doing is hurting our sales. He really is. He's hurting our sales. There's going to be people out there who are going to get turned off like me, and he's going to hurt the sales of the comic book store. And it really and truly, he doesn't need to have an opinion. He's not a celebrity. He doesn't need to have that opinion.
I think that might be a little extreme, because like, let's say he's only doing one book, okay? And the sales drop on that one book. This happens all the time. Sales drops on books all the time. I don't think.
Oh yeah.
I don't think stores. When you say stores are hurting because one comic book isn't selling that well,
now you're pushing it to the extreme. You know what I mean? We need all the help we can get right now, and this is the wrong time, the wrong atmosphere to divide. I'm sorry, it just is.
Right.
You know. And on that note, I would like to bring people together with my Tina Majorino autograph card. She never shows up at conventions, and I've got 3 autographs from Napoleon Dynamite, but I still don't have Tina's autograph. So here she is on a Veronica Mars card that she signed, where she played the character of Cindy McKenzie, and of course you may remember her in Napoleon Dynamite as Napoleon Dynamite's girlfriend. Yep. Which is funny because in the movie Napoleon Dynamite, he actually calls the llama that he has Tina. That's her real name.
Yeah.
So get your dinner, Tina.
Yeah. I still haven't seen that movie.
You haven't seen Napoleon Dynamite?
I have not.
It's definitely an experience.
Oh yeah. I mean, gosh, there's GIFs and there's memes and there's the whole sweet, gosh.
Well, he just had his own comic book come out by IDW, so it was a very interesting little read, and it was very silly and look, IDW has some political interests as well, but I still support their books because most of the people at IDW are just wanting to put out quality books and not really have to get on social media and tell me how you feel about some of the political stuff that's going on in the world. Just do your work, just do your job. We don't need to hear your look. When I go to the cash register at any of the small stores that I go to, I don't want to hear your life story. I don't want to hear your political leanings. I don't want to hear about. Just do your job. You want to chat? Hey, have a nice day. Oh, wow, did you see the game last night? Okay, well, fantastic. And that's getting dangerous.
I feel how you feel, but also keep in mind though that social media, it's their page. Like if you follow them and you don't like, same thing. If they say something that you don't like, you unfollow them. It's that simple.
No, I'm not that kind of person. I don't shut people out of my life because I disagree with them. I don't do that.
No, but you are telling them you're not that type of person, but then at the same time, you're telling them, I don't want to hear you saying this, when it's their God-given right for them to express themselves and say whatever they want.
No. I'm not saying they shouldn't say it. I'm saying there's a time and a place to say it. I'm saying that there are moments in time where you should take. Well, this is not the right time to say things like that. This is not it wasn't the right forum to say that. I would say that to you at a convention, one-on-one. I would say that to an individual, not group people together that he doesn't even know. Just because they click the down click, he doesn't know any of those individuals. And for him to make a blanket statement like that during a period of unrest like we are in now, not necessary. That was poor decision making right there, in my opinion.
But regardless of that, he has the right to say what he wants to say on his
I totally get it that he gets the right to say it. But like I said before, with great power comes great responsibility, and he showed how little responsibility he has.
Yeah.
Is that what you were saying, Jeff?
I said, don't forget, he's locked in the house like all of us. He's on house arrest like all of us. So maybe making them go cuckoo a little.
The only difference between me and Donnie Cates is that Donnie Cates is more famous than me and a successful comic book writer. If I said exactly the same thing that Donnie said on my social media, right?
Yeah.
And someone got mad with me, they would just be mad. They wouldn't be telling me like, oh, well, there's a time and place, and I think what you're saying is wrong. That's fine. You can have that opinion. You can tell me that. But at the same time, it's like, it's just one of those situations where it's like, at best, you disagree with them. At best.
No, Randall, you don't get it. People have been fired for saying less than what he said. You know that, right?
Oh, sure. But I mean, that's between the person and the business.
That is between the person and the business. And that also shows you the type of business that Marvel is in. Because if Marvel doesn't stand by the work that they do and the quality that they produce and the respect that they should be giving to not only their fans, but the people who sell their product, I believe that they need to reevaluate Donnie's contract. I really believe they do, because I don't think he represents the company that is not a Disney statement. Let's put it that way.
More or less. More or less. I mean, any vulgar language is not a Disney statement. It's not a professional statement. But I don't think
because he has influence and because he's a popular writer, they're not going to even consider it. They're not even going to consider it. He's going to he's going to continue writing Venom, and he's going to continue writing what he wants to do. And you know what? I'll just protest by just not buying his book.
There you go. Yeah.
Until he has a change of heart or he apologizes, and just says maybe
he probably won't.
He probably won't. He probably won't. And that's sad, because it's kind of like saying goodbye to a friend who just really and truly he got caught up in the moment, maybe. I mean, I can be a friend too and forgive him. I can forgive him. Yeah. But it seems like this is not the first time that he's done this. This is becoming, hey, good evening, Discovery Bay Comics. Once again, thanks again, Discovery Bay, for shouting out Mylar Madness. I greatly appreciate Discovery Bay's work in the Tampa Bay area and in the world of comic collecting. Great site. And on that note, I'd like to push this first print of Baltimore from Mike Mignola and Christopher Golden. As everyone knows, they just solicited a new book called Baltimore, but it's a female Lady Baltimore. And I believe that particular book may cause this book to show some increase in value. People are probably saying, but that's not a comic book. Yep, but this is the first appearance of Baltimore in print. It was an actual short story in a hardcover book. For those of you who are Mignola fans, he loves to go into some literature with comic panels, and it's a great little book. It's a nice little read. I would suggest everybody picking up a nice copy before the book itself starts to increase, because that's a little pick of the week for me. Question for Mr. Marlar: would you stop carrying his work going forward? I might stop pushing his book. Yeah, I think I would. I think I would. I would stop suggesting him to readers, because especially readers of particular age. Would I be a gatekeeper? I'm not sure if I would go as far as being a gatekeeper, because I would still want people to be able to access what they want to read. I'm not there to make decisions for my customers. They're the ones that have to make the choices. But I can definitely inform them.
Do you do the ordering for these stores?
Yeah, 50-50.
50-50. Okay, but I mean, like, but you don't have the final say. That would be your boss.
Well, he's the one who pays the money. He's the one who pays the bill. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So he would be the one that decides whether they carry the books, continue to carry the books in the store or not.
Yeah, but he's already cut down his order on Marvel incredibly. Like I said, we're lucky if 1 or 2 copies of Marvel books are making it to the New Comics stand, because most of them are going to our subs, and our subs support us through other distributors from Image, Scout Comics, Boom Comics, and DC. Let's not forget DC. And everybody's got their rebels. All of those companies have their rebels that work for them. It's just one of those things that kind of rubbed me the wrong way as a fan. In this time of crisis, where we're all kind of like a little frazzled, and comic book bookstores are struggling as it is, the last thing we need to do is get bad press. And I just thought that was it. That was bad timing. I just thought it was really bad timing. And I think that I agree with a lot of my personal collection. Yeah, I've already I've thinned out the herd of my personal collection when it comes to the newer books to begin with. I believe with the Venom, I stopped collecting Venom, Amazing Spider-Man, Scream, I think the other title was, all after the Absolute Carnage storyline. I'm taking a break from Spider-Man. I had a terrible experience with Rob L. and decided to liquidate. Yeah, that might be my next step. Because it starts to give you a bad taste in your mouth, and it starts to realize, wow, these books.
Well, what happened with?
Sure. And I had a bad experience with Rob too, just to let you know. And I still make fun of Rob. Rob's kind of a point of comedic interest for me. I brought up an action figure with Rob Liefeld. I got his old. It's an older action figure that he did for Awesome Comics, where he brought back Fighting American, and the action figure was sculpted on I think it's Ed McGuinness, his art style, which is very chesty and very arms, and on Fighting American, it looks great because he's got that big old shield, he's got that big square jaw, he's got that big old star on his chest.
That was my favorite series from all of Awesome Comics.
Yeah, and even Stephen Platt worked on the book, and I love Stephen Platt's artwork. And Jeff Loeb did some of the writing on it. Now, I was a Jeff Loeb fan. I still am a loosely Jeff Loeb fan. I wish he would, focus more on his writing.
Yeah, I think he, anytime he's working with Tim Sale.
With Tim Sale, I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm. They have a really good working, relationship mesh. Yep.
And I went up to his booth for an autograph to get my figure signed, which I can't CGC my figure. He could say to Tim, "Fuck yourself, love Rob." I don't care what he would have said, but
right.
Did you tell Rob? Did you tell Rob before he signed it? Hey, you were inside me.
Yeah, he wanted to charge me $40 to sign my figure, and I was like, Ed McGuinness just signed my figure for free.
Yeah,
why should I charge? Why should I pay you $40 to sign my figure?
I got one word for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Capitalism.
Oh, I got it. But here's the thing. This is the catcher. This is what really clinched it for me. My friend Richard, Richard Garcia. He's one of my. He actually went to a convention in South Florida where Rob was at. Same year, literally like 2 months before. You know what Rob was charging for autographs at that convention?
$10.
$10. So I walked up to his line early in the morning. This was before the crowd started getting in, and I walked up to his line thinking it was going to be $10 that day. $40.
Well, hey,
if I wanted my New Mutants signed, it was going to cost me $80. But I didn't have New Mutants with me because I can care fucking less about New Mutants.
If Neil Adams did the same thing, would you feel the same way?
I do. As a matter of fact, when I got Neil Adams' autograph, believe it or not, he was selling his prints for $10, and his autograph was free. So I've got 2 prints that Neil Adams did for Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. One of them has Tom Laughlin playing his character Billy Jack, which was a 1970s independent film based on Native Americans and martial arts. And it was a cover of a Deadly Hands of Kung Fu Marvel special. And then I also got a David Carradine Deadly Hands of Kung Fu where and he had some fun with it. I told him to put a little speech bubble on there because it shows David Carradine spinning around on the cover where two people on the back are laying on a hood of a car and another one's almost falling on the ground where he's just received the kick from David Carradine. And David Carradine spun around with his hands out, and it just says in the little word bubble, it just says, next, ... Nice. And Neil Adams signed that one for me. So yeah, the next time I ended up getting an autograph from him, I didn't buy a print, and he ended up signing my Muhammad Ali versus Superman, and he did that for free.
Oh, so, really? But this must have been like a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a bit of a while ago. This was before he started having all the big prints and all the, you know, the fanfare that's around his signing.
I mean, what is he charging now? Like $40-$50 a signature?
Yeah, I believe it is, but that also includes one of his prints, I think. So it's still, you know, it's high priced. It's let's put it this way: it's hard to get autographs anymore from any of these guys because everybody wants to charge money for a book that they already did.
Oh yeah, I will say I did get a free signature from him one time, and this was like 3, maybe 4 years ago, and he gave me a look, right? And because I knew that he didn't want to do it. You know, and the only reason I did it was because one of the guys I was working with at CBCS, he was trying to get everyone's signature on the lanyard, like one of the, you know, the thing for the convention, the ticket or tag or whatever. And so he was, I think, too scared to ask Neil, and he was just like, "Hey, do me a favor, just can you just go over there and ask him? You know, like you're getting your book signed." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you think you can get him to sign this? You know, like for free?" And so I'm like, I even gave him a look like, dude, you're going to make me look like an asshole. I'm like, okay. So I go there. I have him sign a Superman book. And then I, as politely and generously, kindly told Neil, like, listen, Neil, I asked you this, but a coworker of mine, a friend of mine, asked me if you could sign this. Excuse me. If you could sign this. And so Neil just, and this was like really early in the morning, so there wasn't like a line of people, which was perfect. There, right as I asked him though, there was one person that walked up behind me, and so like Neil kind of gave me a look, and he's like, let me see it, you know, and he looks at it, and he's like, here you go. You know, and he didn't charge, and I was just like, man, to my coworker, I'm like, you lucky son of a bitch, because that guy could have torn me in, and he could have gave me a long lecture, you know. And I got to avoid it because thankfully I had a feeling.
He's famous for that too, man. He's really famous for giving people lectures about that stuff too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the man is passionate. If he feels like no, I've worked hard, I deserve this. If you want this, it's going to be this price, you know? And it's fair. From his point of view, it's fair. It's like, you know, like he has the right to do that. And,
I'll tell you this. You're looking at a guy who actually got Stan Lee for free. And this was at a show. And this is when he was promoting his 2099 universe. And he was writing Ravage. And the first issue.
This was in the 90s.
This is in the 90s. And it was Ravage 2099. And he had come to a show here in Tampa. Actually, it was in Clearwater, and it was at the Clearwater Mall that doesn't even exist anymore. The mall's gone. But I got 2 books signed by him. I just happened to have found, and I couldn't find anything else. You know, everybody was thinking, you know, and this was back in the day when I didn't want to get my hot books signed. Like I didn't want to get my Wolverine 181 signed because there was no CGC. There was no rating.
CGC didn't start until like what, 2000?
Right.
Yeah, 2010, I think. 2010 or 2011.
Way before 2010.
Was it? Really?
Yeah. I want to say they started like literally like around 2000, maybe 2002.
Oh, really? That early? Maybe it feels like I'm just getting old. But all I do remember is that I had one book that I thought would be cool to get signed. I've got my Marvel No Prize book that has him on the cover upside down, taking his Doctor Doom mask off. And I slipped it on the table with my Ravage 2099, and he didn't even blink an eye, and he signed both books and passed me along the way. And I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, now that you mention that, like Stan must have been doing that for so many years. Like, not even really looking at what he's signing. Like, you just put it in front of him. Next. Like I really wanted him to sign one of my books using a red Sharpie because Marvel, of course, is known with the red. Mm-hmm. I was just thinking, like, how cool would it be, like red Sharpie, like it's in red, written by Stan. Like his signature. Because one of my goals was I would have Stan sign in red, and then a lot of the people who are more well known for DC, I'd have them sign in blue. So then that way, like pointed out, like, oh look, there's Scott Snyder, or oh look, there's Jeff Johns. Jeff, I might even like let him write in green because he, one of the biggest things he worked on, of course, was Green Lantern. Being such a big success, and of course, green's my favorite color. But for the most part, yeah, man. I mean, but like I remember, like I felt like such a dummy. Like one of the first conventions I went to, I was in middle school. My dad took me to the convention. We were there for one day. It was MegaCon. And, Stan Lee was there. My dad's like, hey, do you want to get in line, get a signature from Stan? And I just saw how long the line was. And I'm like, we'll get him later in the day. Like, I didn't know how conventions worked. I assumed that he was going to be there all day. So when I saw the line starting to get small, I was like, all right, let's go, Dad, let's go. And then, like, I noticed that there's a sign that, like, oh, the line's been cut off. And I was confused. I was like, what? Like, I don't understand. And so I was just like, I missed out on Stan, getting a signature from him. Mm-hmm. But the cool thing, though, is like I just remember as a kid, like when he was done signing, he got up and he walked. So I just remember him like walking past me, and I was just like thinking to myself, like, oh, cool, I got to see Stan Lee in person as a kid, So like that was really cool. And then of course, many years later, getting to see him a couple times at a convention, and getting his signatures, of course, and
right.
I'm glad I got the one book that I really, I mean, if I was more wealthier, if I had more money, I definitely would want him to sign Amazing Fantasy 15. Like that would be nice to have signed. Fantastic Four #1, Incredible Hulk #1, like all those books. Like it would have been great to have him sign those. So the only one that was financially attainable for me, I thought to myself, this is the one book I have to have him sign. Thankfully, I was able to get him to sign that book. So I have that, and then I got Sam Raimi to sign it. So like, I love Sam Raimi to me is still the best Spider-Man director. His Spider-Man films are still the best. Spider-Man 2 is the best. The new, I mean, it really baffles my mind when people tell me like, oh no, the new Spider-Man movies are the best. And I feel like they're only saying they're the best because it's tied into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If those movies were not tied into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, would people even still think like, oh yeah, these movies are great, and I just disagree. Like, I feel like some of these people don't read the Spider-Man comics. They don't know essentially what Peter Parker and Spider-Man is like. My first big thing about Spider-Man was the cartoons, like obviously the 66 or 68, 69, that old cartoon series. That was my first experience with Spider-Man. And then of course, as a kid, still watching television, the 90s Spider-Man, the 1994 cartoon series Spider-Man, like that to me was just like, that was like very close to the comic books, I believe. Both the X-Men animated series and Spider-Man animated series, I think they were very close to the comics. So getting to watch the Spider-Man animated series and really like learning about Spider-Man, like, oh, this is what Spider-Man is like, this is the type of character he is. And of course, reading the comics, like you get to know the character, but people have this mentality of like, oh, Spider-Man's just funny, like he cracks jokes. That's what Spider-Man's about, and it's like, no, it's so much more than that. And I appreciate what Sam Raimi did, because this was before comic book films were even popular. Comic book films were on the fence. You had in 1998, you had the Batman and Robin movie, which people were like, oh my God, this is a horrible film. And then thankfully that same year you had Blade come out. And then Blade helped get X-Men come out, and then X-Men came out, and then that helped get Spider-Man to come out. You know, so like when you see those Spider-Man films, I get it from like, you know, and Tim, you work in the acting business, you know, you're a professional actor. I'm sure you know how important it is to deliver a film, to deliver a product that people can take seriously. You know, like, you know, you want people to take it seriously. You want them to enjoy it. You want them to like it. What is that? The Juggernaut? And,
Something you can't take seriously.
Huh?
I'm Vinnie Jones, the
Oh, yeah.
Juggernaut.
He was one of my favorite things about that movie.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. You know who I am? I'm the
You know
Juggernaut.
who I am. I'm Vinnie Jones, bitch. I gotta admit, that's a very good
Pretty
likeness.
much.
That's a very good likeness
Yeah.
of Vinnie Jones. I think they did a very good job on the sculpt.
All they had to do was get the eyes and nose.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, Spider-Man was one of those, like, this is how good Spider-Man was. The first one, the first Spider-Man film came out the same summer as
Yeah.
Star Wars Episode 2, and people had this mentality of Star Wars. That's like one of the biggest franchises of all time. Like nothing's gonna beat Star Wars. Star Wars. So,
Sorry.
I remember getting into an argument with a buddy of mine who was also a comic book fanatic, and I told him, "Hey, man, this Spider-Man movie, it's going to do better. It's going to be the biggest film of the year." And he looked at me and he's like, "You think it's going to beat Star Wars?" He's like, "You're crazy, man. There's no way Spider-Man's going to beat Star Wars." And what does Spider-Man do? Spider-Man beats Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's how good Spider-Man was. That's how good Sam Raimi's Spider-Man was. And
you
then
know it's going to be both Star Wars and Spider-Man?
Oh, Cowboy Ninja Viking.
Cowboy Ninja Viking, #1.
That should be.
In a hard case.
They should make those into like action figures.
They should. He's pretty cool. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Cowboy Ninja Viking, but it was a image book. It was a size of a Golden Age book by Lieberman and Rosmo. Issue 1, of course, very beautiful book. And this interesting little display case that I discovered with little magnets. It opens up like a top loader or like a card thing, but it's made for larger comic books. I thought that's kind of cool. It's hanging on my wall over here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They should like make an action figure that can transform into like, you know, hey, you want a cowboy? He's a cowboy, but now you can change him into a Viking. Now you can change him into a ninja.
Right.
Cowboy Ninja Viking. That really does sound like one of those like 90s like toy commercials.
Right?
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
My son sent me this from Germany. He went to a comic book show in Germany. I got a Blue Devil #2 signed by Paris, and he did a little sketch there in the corner. I don't know if you can make it out or not, but right here, there's a profile sketch of Blue Devil.
Oh, nice.
Kind of hard to see, but he's got there's his horns right here. There's his nose, his chin. So he gave Danny a little free sketch on the corner there. So that's kind of cool.
You know what's funny? It's like I just noticed now, like with your glasses, you might look a little bit like Richard Johnston or Rich Johnston from Bleeding Cool.
Really?
A little bit. You might look a little bit like him.
That means I need to cut my hair and take my glasses off because I don't want to look like anybody from Bleeding Cool. Let me tell you, I was excited when Bleeding Cool first came around, back when Valiant was getting ready to shut their doors, and it was weird. I think I have their first issue of their first fanzine that they put out called Bleeding Cool, and it has, I believe, I want to say it was Bloodshot or Exo Manowar on it or something of that nature.
Okay.
But it was a Valiant title. But I was like, wow, they're bringing back the old fanzine kind of feel, where like a Marvel Age or a, you know, and I was really excited about it. And then it lasted 3 issues.
Yeah.
And this thing called the Internet came along, and then no more printing. Yeah.
I remember the last issue of Wizard coming out, and it's so sad too, because like when you go back and you look at old Wizard magazines and you saw how thick those magazines were, and then you saw like in time they change their format, and then it gets thinner and thinner and thinner, and you're just like, why, point where you're like, why am I still buying this magazine? Like, I can get all of this information on the internet. They needed to do something different with that magazine. Like, what they should have done is either get independent like writers and artists and say, hey, you want to start writing short stories, and we'll print your short story in our magazine. Or they could have worked a deal with like Marvel and DC and be like, hey, give us a short story, we'll put it in the magazine. And
as an early collector, one of the top things that was always on my list to read was Marvel Age. I used to love Marvel Age. First, the price point was really cheap. It was very easy to acquire.
Oh yeah.
And I've got every issue of Marvel Age still in my collection. Some of them have multiple copies because I wanted to get things signed, because there's some really cool, like the Stan Lee and the Jim Shooter cartoon cover. I've got Jim Shooter's autograph on that one. I missed my opportunity to get Stan Lee's autograph on that. So, but still, I got Jim on that one. But it was just in-depth reporting. It was honest. It was straightforward. I used to love their little calendars that they had on the back, where they would show them the Marvel month and what was coming out on particular days, and it was just fun.
The precursor to the Marvel previews catalog.
Yeah, precursor to the Marvel previews catalog. Absolutely. Yeah.
No, like DC was coming out with DC Nation. I'm sure you remember those magazines.
Oh God, yes. I think I've got all. I think they came out with maybe 24, maybe. I think they had maybe 2 years of DC Nation, or maybe less than that.
Less than that. It was like five or six magazines.
5? Well, no, they did it twice. They had DC Nation twice, 2 different formats, but there were two different types of DC Nation. One was an oversized magazine one. And then there was the one that was a regular comic book form, and they used to be called the DC Nation's DC Sampler. I don't know if you remember the samplers that they used to bring out, but I used to get all of those as well.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about, like, remember the free magazine that they were giving out? And it was just basically letting everyone know, like, everything DC that was coming out, what was being worked on, there were articles on it. And I think it's a great idea. I think what sucks is, like, obviously it cost them a lot of money. Because they were giving it for free. They're not making any money off of it.
Right. Well, the DC previews is similar to that right now.
Yeah, it's a promotional tool. I think they should still do it, but what they should do is they should do, like, maybe like on Free Comic Book Day, they print one a year, like, because you're already giving it away for free, right? So why not have it for Free Comic Book Day? And
to all of our viewers out there, who would win? Marvel's Sasquatch. Would he be able to beat
DC? Yes.
DC's Ultra Humanite?
Oh, Ultra Humanite's way stronger.
Sasquatch and Ultra Humanite. It's the fight of the century. Which one of these primates will win? I don't know, but I'm much smarter. Yes, there we go. I'm sorry. I'm starting to do puppeteering. I'm not going to do that. Who will win between the Ultra Humanite and Alpha Flight's Sasquatch? I don't know. Sasquatch has got a little height on the Humanite here.
That means nothing.
That means nothing, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Superman's bigger than the Hulk, and Hulk's way bigger than Superman.
That's true. That's true. As you can see, I like my monkeys. I like my big hairy gorillas. Those are both Build-A-Figure pieces. Yeah. This is my newest Build-A-Figure. I thought he was cool. Anybody know who that is?
Was it a Sentinel?
Close. That is the Kree Sentry. That was the Build-A-Figure piece for the Captain Marvel action figures that came out. What I used to love about the Kree Sentry was his appearances in like Marvel 2-in-1. I believe he went up against the early versions of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And he was just really cool because he was purple robot.
I'll be right back.
Right on. And he had a bowl cut. Can you see his bowl cut?
Yeah.
It's a bowl cut haircut. But I don't know. Just trying to keep it on point when it comes to being a comic toy show.
Yeah.
Sometimes we talk a little too much about the politics.
Yeah,
How about you, Jeff?
That's random.
William is telling us Ultra Humanite will win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a mean-looking dude. I like this face sculpt on Ultra. Plus, nothing cooler than a big, like, what is he, albino ape?
Yeah. Hey, did you see the Tiger? Have you seen the Tiger Claw documentary yet, or Tiger King documentary yet?
Tiger King. Not only did I see the Tiger King documentary, but I came this close to being in it because let me tell you something. My girlfriend, she used to be a volunteer over at Carol's Big Cat Rescue over there off of Gun Highway. Yeah, I used to go pick her up after volunteering. I used to be her ride, and I know all about that story. When that whole story of her husband disappearing, that's when she quit because there was too much heat coming down. That woman is insane. That woman is crazy. It is my opinion that woman did something to her old husband. And if you watch that documentary, have you watched it?
Yeah.
Have you watched it, Jeff? Yep. If you watch that documentary,
I watched it.
There's a part in the documentary where you see the guy that's in the actual what's his name, Jay or John or the guy
Jay.
What are you guys talking about?
Jay,
Tiger King.
Jay,
you talking about Joe Exotic?
Tiger King.
Yeah, the guy.
That's what it is. Joe Exotic.
Yeah, the one guy who always had his gun on his hip when his studio burned down.
Yeah,
I don't know if you noticed this, but they caught some footage of the guy walking up to the studio. Watch the way he walks. Watch the way he walks. Then watch Carol's husband, her new husband.
Yeah.
He might be an older man now, but if you watch the way he walks, he lumbers. He's got this weird little lumbering that he does.
Right.
Dude, in my opinion, I think he burned that place down.
Yeah. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's one of those shows. It's one of those shows. Like it's a hit sensation right now because there are many people that are at home and that are many people are very bored. There are no sports.
Well, it takes place right here in Tampa, so that's another thing that's really famous about it.
Oh, sure, yeah. They're talking about making another documentary.
Not only that, but the big thing is it gives all three of those people spotlight. You know what I mean? But the main thing is those need to be more spotlighted than people do. Things that are getting ruined.
What's funny is like, okay, imagine a show like this if it was on CMT, the Country Music Channel or whatever.
Right.
If it was on the Country Music Channel, it'd be semi-popular, but because it's on Netflix, this thing's huge. Just, the thing's mega.
Right.
And I'm sure that Netflix has got to be super happy because they probably didn't pay a lot of money to have this documentary or whatever, this whole series made. So they're like, we're getting so much attention. And
they already had it all on tape.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that documentary was shot a few years back, and I think they finally produced it.
Some of that stuff on video.
So this isn't something that they just shot this year or last year. This is something that they did years ago, and they finally got the material together and edited it and put it together because the original documentary burned. And the guy who opened the show, the original journalist, he was the one trying to put the documentary together. So that's the thing is that there's a lot of scandal there. There's a lot of interesting story there. But speaking of tigers, I've got my own personal tiger right here. Yes, my kitty cat. She just jumped down. She's the one that's making me get up and go. She claws at my door to get out so she can go use the bathroom, and then she'll claw to come back in. She's like, let me in.
She's like, give me some comics to destroy.
Oh God, she loves to walk on my comic.
I'm getting a little tired.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna get some food and some
Yeah,
food.
yeah.
Hold on.
All right, guys.
Hold on.
Let me
Before you call
let
it, Jeff, I'm gonna
me-
help you out. Before you call it,
Okay.
let me help you out. Ladies and
Okay.
gentlemen, let's go ahead and give a nice round of applause for Jeff and the Comic Kid. And remember that all of you can support this show by enjoying some energies. This is energies from Emergency C. We are not a sponsored program, but we would love to be a sponsored program. So all of you can have a good night's sleep with energy and emergencies from Emergency.
For
There
a
you go.
second there, because it
Yeah.
says nighttime sleep aid, but for
Yeah.
a second there, I thought it said nightmare sleep aid.
Yes, nighttime sleep aid with melatonin or melatonin.
Yeah.
It's got melatonin in it, which means it puts you right to sleep. Plus, it's got a lot of vitamin C in it. So this is my secret, guys. You want to know the secret to not getting sick and getting a good night's sleep?
Mhm.
This, and I don't want to move this because it's actually holding it up, but I don't know if you can read that, but that is my orange juice in a bottle. This is 500 milligrams of vitamin C, 2 tablets a day. That's 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Keeps the sniffles away, and it boosts your immune system because it's got lots of goodness in it. And that's just called orange juice. Simple as that. It's just called Nature's Plus orange juice from concentrate, vitamin C supplement, 500 milligrams. Randall, I would suggest that you hook yourself up with some vitamin C and some zinc to help you get over that cold so it doesn't transition into something worse.
Oh, yeah. I'm already taking 1,000 milligrams of the vitamin C.
Right on.
So I'm doing that, and I just started antibiotics tonight. So
Oh, that one.
I have a feeling like that's gonna help.
Well, we all hope you get better, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Yep.
Jeff, you can call it.
Yeah. All right, let me call it.
Time of death.
All right. All right, guys. Thanks for watching Extreme Nerd Table. We'll be back next week, and I'll be on. I will have Cantonese Comic Wednesdays, and I'll have Silver Age Days next week. So be on the lookout. And next Monday is good. Not this Monday, but next Monday is gonna be my birthday. So I'm gonna have a special birthday show. So be on the lookout, guys. So see you guys later. Thanks for watching. You guys got anything going on?
Randall?
You guys got anything going on?
Just trying to survive.
Yeah, guys, Nerd Out and Comics and Stuff are both open for business. Stop on by, check out the sales that we have, support the local comic book store, and we're going to pass that savings to you with incredible deep discounts, so you don't have to spend a lot of money for some entertainment. You can't watch Netflix all day long. I'm sure Randall will disagree with me there. I'm sure he'll say, yes, you can. But, if you find yourself breaking away from Netflix or Disney Plus, come on out, buy some comics, 75% off back issues. I believe at Comics and Stuff, it's Marvel and DC books in the dollar bins are buy one, get one free, or 50 cents each. And independents are 20 books for $1.
Are there any sales on the wall books?
Yes, there's 50% off of wall books, 50% off of recent back issues. The only thing that's not on sale right now is trade paperbacks. He rarely does trade paperbacks because he eats a lot of shipping costs for those damn heavy books. So everything else is 50% off. This is at Comics and Stuff. Mm-hmm.
Comics and Stuff.
Come on by. We got all new lighting in the store, so that it's nice and bright in the store. We're getting a new sign put up. It's fantastic. It's a all metal sign. It's beautiful. Come and check out there's a lot of people don't realize there's a beautiful mural in the back. If you ever wanted to see what it would look like to see Lobo against Juggernaut, come and see this mural in the back of Comics and Stuff. It was done by a local artist. I can't remember his name, but they are huge, and it's a beautiful piece of Lobo on one big garage door, and on the opposite door facing him is Juggernaut. So you got
What days
Marvel.
are you over at Comics and Stuff?
I'm there on Thursdays. I'll be there this Thursday and maybe possibly Friday just to help him out so he can get a good night's sleep, because I know that he's working hard at FedEx because they're open for business as well.
Cool.
Right
I might see you.
Oh yeah, come on by. Come on by. You'll love his story. He's got a great little story.
Yeah, we'll
Good night, guys. Stay safe.
we'll call. Good night. Yeah,
And you're better than
everybody
that,
stay
Donnie
safe.
Cates.
Come on, dude. Yeah, I don't want to end broadcast.
It doesn't want to end. Oh, we'll stay.
Yeah.
I ain't got no place to go.
All right, now we can talk
There
about
you go.
the Sharona. And then what?
Hold on.
Cut it.
Hold on.
Cut it.
I did. I hit end. I don't know if it ended it.
It's still going on my,
hold
it's
on.
still going on
There
my
you go.
end.